Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're very happy that you've taken out the time to be with us. Nowadays, anxiety, depression, a spiral of negative thoughts is quite common. So, today we're going to talk about what can help you create a positive mindset. And this session is brought to you by healthOmind. healthOmind is a mental wellness startup based in Bangalore. Its efforts are directed towards creating awareness about mental health and well being in people across the nation. healthOmind aspires to build an ecosystem that will enable people to tackle their mental health problems while fighting the stigma around it. healthOmind looks at mental wellness from a holistic perspective, and that's what differentiates them from other organizations. Joining me today is Ms. Rachana Awatramani. Rachana is a professional psychologist with 10 plus years of experience in practicing, mentoring, and guiding her clients. She helps her clients cope with various emotional challenges through her expertise, knowledge standards, and learning from her post graduation in counseling psychology. Her additional credentials in the field of psychology are first aid, John Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health, and Happiness Life Coach Transformation Services, INC Online. She has been contributing to Times of India's Ask the Expert column as well. Hi, Rachna. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, Apekshita. Thank you so much for having me today with you and talking about mental health, which is, as you mentioned, very important. And I'm glad that you are doing this to reach out to so many people.
Absolutely. So people are still joining in. I just want to
Mm-hmm.
be sure that we're completely audible and visible. So if we
Sure.
are, may I please request our participants to type one in the chat box?
Yes.
Super. Great. So this is, I just want to remind you that there will be an opportunity to ask Rachna questions towards the end. So please stick with us. This is going to be an enlightening session. Rachna, why don't you begin by telling us a little bit about yourself? What got you interested in the field? Was there a particular moment or incident that encouraged you to become a counseling psychologist?
Okay. So it just happened. This is what I will say to start with, but it has an interesting story. I used to live in a small town. I moved to Mumbai, and the school was changed. So the environment for a child who has brought up in certain environment, in certain school environment, and suddenly everything changes for last 3 years of your schooling. So it was very difficult for me to cope with the new environment and to make new friends. And suddenly I started with drawing, whereas I was a very active child in the school. Like, I was into sports, I was very regular at school. However, that started changing when I was in the new school. And I just realized that there is something maybe wrong with me, because those days, we didn't have counselors in school. So I was like, maybe something's wrong with me. And a friend, in fact, that time, who used to live near my house, and she suggested, why don't you read about psychology? Why don't you read about your own behavior? And that is how I realized, I was, in fact, made aware of what psychology is. Abhi to, I think, because of Google and school teachers and counselors being in school, students know what is psychology, what is mental health. I didn't know, so that was my first introduction, and I guess that was the moment where I decided, okay, I'm just going to do this. So I just got out of my 10th grade, got into taking BA arts, where I took 6 papers psychology, because that is what I wanted to study. I didn't want to study anything else. I think, and after my BA psychology, जैसे हर इंडियन लड़की के घर में होता है कि अब ग्रेजुएशन हो गया तो अब आपकी शादी करा देंगे. So they said, let's get you married. And I said, no, 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 I want to study. And that's how I chose masters in counseling psychology. So that is how I got into doing this. And it's been 10 years since that practice started.
That's fantastic. And you've had like a single minded focus ever since you started, which is very rare
Correct.
and
So,
very.
right. So I tell people, if you ask me anything about any other subject, I am zero. I have no clue. The only thing I have done in my life is done this. So, yeah.
and done it so well. So this is great. But like taking from your early experiences, of course, people
Hmm.
around us, where we've been in lockdown for the past 7 months. So
Correct.
people often do not know what are the signs and symptoms of mental, of being a bit mentally affected. So
Correct.
what according to you would be those early signs of mental health concerns that people should be
Hmm.
conscious of?
Okay, so simple people. I know they will say anxiety, depression, or Google karenge symptoms. I will tell you, look at it in a very simple way. If you are not able to eat properly, okay, if you're not able to sleep properly, if you're not able to complete your task, a professional task, okay, for 15 days, if this is happening for 15 days, see, once in a while, it happens with all of us. Okay, some days we don't get sleep, some days we are binge watching, or we're talking to somebody late in the night. We don't sleep, and lifestyle has changed during the lockdown period. However, if you're unable to cope with any of these daily activities for 15 days, okay, so khana pina sona, regular kaam karna, this is basic, right? And if it's not happening for 15 days, that means you need to see a professional. These are early signs that you need to hold on to and say, you know what, I need to speak to somebody of what is happening with me.
Mhm. Are there any behavioral signs that you think we should be conscious of?
Yeah, like I would start with saying that people might withdraw sometimes, that like you try and not talk to a lot of people, even though we were talking about in lockdown, maybe some people are living alone and it's isolation, and you don't have to talk to a lot of people. However, people were still connected through technology. People were still talking to each other. But if you see, if again it's not in the normal graph, if you are withdrawing, so that's one kind of behavior. Of course, getting into addiction is another behavior. You're indulging into substance, to, what do you say, fulfill that void that you feel, or you feel, I don't know what to do, or I want to spend my time, so let's have a drink, and then it becomes every day. So there's a change in behavior. Also, eating. When I said early signs of when you're eating, when you're not eating properly, or sometimes people overeat. It's called emotional eating, like you're eating your emotions up, you know. So these small behavior changes, this is something that I guess very easily caught on. Like you can observe this in you very easily. Or you don't want to go to job, or you don't want to log in when you have to work now from home, and you're not doing that on time. Those are some behavior changes that you can actually see. But as I said, the time is important. So if you see this happening for 2 weeks, as I said, once in a while, it's okay. But if these changes you see for 15 days, that means you need to seek help.
Sure. And does it happen that a lot of times people might be seeing these behavioral changes, but they're in absolute denial? They're like, there's nothing wrong,
Hmm.
kuch nahi hua hai,
Yeah.
and I'm not going to
Huh.
do anything about it. So, what is that first
Correct.
step? Observation probably does come later. What is
Hmm.
that first step of
Yeah.
acceptance?
Correct. So I think talk to somebody. And if you feel you cannot talk to somebody, and not a professional, I'm not talking about professional, talk to a family member, talk to a friend of how you're doing, on a regular basis, have a source of venting out, or maybe even a source of recharging yourself. Okay, so if you feel that I'm feeling low and I don't know what I'm supposed to do, know the things that can make you continue doing your lifestyle or living your life the way you want to live. So if you don't have these things and you're not able to say that anything is wrong with me, because I understand there is a lot of stigma, I understand there is a lot of denial, as you said, comes along with these symptoms. And मेरे साथ तो नहीं हो सकता है, होता है ऐसे. And so that's why I said, first step, talk to somebody. And if you don't have anybody to talk to, then a lot of people even write down. People write and maintain about how they are feeling, because they feel, if I tell somebody, that person might judge you. And that's why you are paid professionals, because they're paid to keep secret. They don't judge you because that's their job to do. But however, if some people hesitate and say, nahi, I don't want to go to a counselor, a psychologist, or a psychiatrist because I don't think so, that is what I need. So then write or talk to someone who's very close to you.
Hmm. Absolutely. Coming to your expertise, Rachna, what is positive psychology? Can you tell me in absolute layperson terms what do you mean by positive psychology?
Yes. So in layperson terms, positive psychology is a is a scientific study of how to live a good life. Okay, so they've done a lot of research on finding out कि कैसे आप खुश रह सकते हो और कैसे आप positive रह सकते हो in your life, and they have proof of it. Otherwise, like a lot of people talk about, oh, meditate, you'll feel good. But what is the proof of meditation helps you? So positive psychology researches on that. Like words like kindness. Okay. Okay. So you be kind, but there's a research done on how kindness, on being kind with somebody, can actually make you happy.
Mhm.
So there are certain positive emotions that they've come up with. They've come up with a lot of tools, which we are going to talk about today, on people can use to be more happy. And positive psychology is that field which talks about it based on research, based on proof, based on scientific study.
Mhm. So, how do we begin by incorporating positive psychology? Like, what are these small steps that people can take?
Okay, so first thing, I guess people need to understand and start talking about their positive emotions. Okay, like if I ask you now, okay, what is a positive emotion that comes to your mind first?
Gratitude. I think
Gratitude.
I'm big on
Perfect.
gratitude.
So, yes, so gratitude is such a positive emotion. And I'm sure a lot of people, on with us today are also thinking now when asked you, I'm sure they are also thinking, okay, kaun sa positive emotion I relate to. Because usually we talk about what is wrong in our life. आज बुरा क्या हुआ हमारे लाइफ में, आज ये ठीक नहीं था, आज वो ठीक नहीं था. We never talk about कि अच्छा क्या हुआ. I want to share with you something nice that happened with me today. We rarely do that. So we need practice for doing those. So identify positive emotions in you, and it can be a couple of them. I will name some of them. One you said is gratitude, joy, happiness, peace. Um, that awe feeling when you see on Instagram or Facebook where people click the sunset pictures and they put it up, and it's like an awe feeling that they're into the awe of nature, that kind of emotion. um, Also serenity can be another emotion where people feel good. So anything that makes you feel good and happy is a positive emotion. Kindness is another one, that you feel uh, kind towards someone. That kind of emotions have arisen in you. So all of these emotions, when they come up, identify them. So start talking about your happy emotions. I think that's the first step.
How do you reset your mind to even start acknowledging that these emotions?
Hmm.
Like for me, I know that to feel gratitude, I've practiced it. I've tried to make myself realize that there's a lot in my life that I should be grateful for. So how
Hmm.
do they begin?
So Apekshita, you said a very wonderful thing right now. You said I have practiced it. Okay, I have worked on it to put that gratitude in my head. So it's as simple as, if you want a mango tree, you are going to put a mango seed. You're not going to put an apple seed. So you wanted to feel grateful, so you started putting those seeds of gratitude in your brain, right? On the other side, if you're, say for example, I am watching news 6 hours in a day, and I'm watching all the news which is giving me all the negative information. I'm not saying don't watch the news. Okay, don't take me wrong. Watch the news, but say for example, I watch it for 6 hours. Okay, and 6 hours may, how much have I, given consumption of food in my brain of anxiety, fear, negative emotion? It's very high, right? So when I'm talking about, start talking about positive emotions, I am telling you, start feeding your brain that, because your brain needs food. And that's what exactly you did when you spoke about gratitude and you said I started practicing it. You started putting that seed, and I'm sure now it's on an auto system for you, because when I asked you, that's the first thing came up, because now your brain is automatically in that zone of talking about gratitude as a good emotion for you, because that seed might have become into a plant or a tree and started giving you fruits now. Okay, so it's very important on what you are consuming. And the first step today that we discussed of that consumption is start talking about happy emotions.
Mhm. What about you, Rachna? What is that one emotion or one feeling that you have practiced for your day-to-day life?
So I would say peace of mind. Like I literally protect my peace of mind. Anything that hampers it, I'm like staying away from it. But I do practice gratitude. I have a gratitude journal where I write about three things that were good or I'm grateful for today. That has been a good practice for me. But peace of mind, I usually do it through meditation. So that is also another tool which I will, of course, talk in detail when we are talking about tools. And but these are small, small tools. I'm sure people are getting hint of small, small things that we are getting in our conversation now.
Sure. And let's dive straight into this toolkit. What is the positive
Okay.
psychology toolkit and what are the
Okay.
tools that we should talk about?
Right. So, as one of them is gratitude, so I will talk about gratitude first in itself. So, a lot of people know that they're grateful for certain things, okay, but we never pay attention. We never pay attention to what we are thankful for. So, the only practice if you do, it's like a very small activity that you do is maybe write in the night, like as I was telling you. I have a small gratitude journal which I keep next to my bed. You write in it three things that you're grateful for, wake up in the morning, read them, and start your day. So, what I did, I was just feeding gratitude into my mind, right? So that it is conditioned like that. So, that is one. If you feel writing is too much, I can't do writing and it's not my thing, then share something that you're grateful for with somebody. I'm sure you talk to someone in the night, or there is somebody you're having dinner with someone at night and with your family. Tell them what you're grateful for. What is a good thing that happened with you today? You know, so this is one activity that people can do on their own. So it's one tool. Okay, the other tool is meditation. Now, meditation also research has shown that if you continuously meditate, okay, you will start being more active and productive. There are n number of results of and benefits of meditation. So these tools that I'm saying can be in your bag. Okay, however, by the end of today's session, I will request everyone to pick only two. Don't pick everything and say, oh, ab main sab karungi, as a preventive method. It's like I ask you, what do you do when you go on a date? Do you brush your teeth like 2 hours before the date, or do you do it every day?
Do I actually answer that question? Of course,
Yeah.
I do it every day.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. We do it every day. So for oral hygiene, we take care of our oral hygiene every day, not before going to a date, right? We don't do that 2 hours before going to the date so that we have a good smile. We do it every day. Similarly, for our mental health, we need to use these tools every day, but not all the tools, not overdoing it. Take two tools, which you will do it every day. Say for 15 days, you practice two tools, then change, no problem. Okay, but sub ek साथ करेंगे, then you don't know whether it's helping you, what is helping you, what is not helping you. But when you pick one or two, you will get more clarity of what works better for you. Because maybe some tool that maybe works for you and me might not work for somebody else, you know, like that. So coming back to meditation as a tool, so a lot of people practice 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, even 1 hour, 2 hour meditation. But somebody who's just starting with meditation, then you can just do basic breathing exercises, okay, for 2 minutes every 2 hours. Put a reminder on your phone. Take a 2 minute break every 2 hours. It's a breathing exercise, good enough for somebody who's a beginner. And if you feel okay, मैं हर 2 घंटे भी नहीं कर सकती हूँ, I don't think so I can do that also. Then at least 3 times in a day, do two minutes breathing exercise. So take a breathing break 3 times a day when you're working, so that you get into the, what do you say, restart your mind.
Mhm.
Like how if your system is hung, what we do, we switch off, right? My phone is not working, I will switch off and restart it. So that 2 minute break is very important, can be a minor version of meditation. Of course, if you can do it on a daily basis for 15 minutes, nothing like it. And if you want to increase, once a day, 5 minutes karo, 10 minutes karo, for 15 minutes karo. So this is very powerful tool which one person can actually use. The third tool is journaling. Now this is little time consuming. So in journaling, a lot of people write about how they feel, how was their day, or what did they achieve, what they're supposed to do tomorrow. Every journal is different. There is no standard format. You can write your journal the way you want. Okay, but journaling people do every day. So that is one practice, and you can spend 20 minutes, at least 20 minutes on your journaling before you go off to sleep. It's a good way of even reflecting. on your day. And the last tool that I will talk about today is my favorite is on kindness, okay, which has been extremely useful for a lot of my clients during this crisis period that we are going through of COVID. Just helping somebody. So I will talk about a research which was done in Canada on this. Is in a college university, students were doing a research where they had $20 and they gave it to people, to the students, and said that you spend this $20 on somebody else.
Mhm.
That is group A. And on group B, they gave the $20 and they said you can spend this $20 on yourself. So the group A, after they spend the money on somebody else, they were given a happiness scale test. Both the groups were given happiness scale test after the activity was done. So people who actually spend that money for somebody else, okay, were very high on the happiness scale. So if you're doing something for someone else, your happiness quotient increases. And this research was done in different parts of the world as well to see does it have any cultural biases. But everywhere it was the same thing. When more than what you spend on yourself, if you do something for someone else, an act of kindness without expecting something back, it actually makes you more happy. So some examples that I can give during this time that people can actually do, is maybe feed animals, strays, help your house help people who come to, work in the house, or maybe help the security guards around, or maybe um, giving food or buying something for someone, paying somebody's toll. A lot of acts of kindness. Like actually, you Google it, you will get so many acts of kindness that you can do for somebody. But one act of kindness, if you do every day and take this as into your tool for 15 days, you will see brilliant results.
Absolutely. And what better time to do it than the pandemic, right? But can
Yes,
you, so
absolutely.
a lot of times what happens is that ideas like meditation or journaling or gratitude,
Hmm.
they've become
Hmm.
buzzwords. They've become things that a
Right.
lot of people talk about and they're not really incorporated in daily lives. So
Correct.
perhaps,
Correct.
a good way to reinforce their importance is by talking about somebody who actually did benefit from some of these
Right.
tools. So could you
Correct.
talk about your experience with people as you
Hmm.
as you know
Hmm.
as they come for counseling sessions with you? What is the growth that
Correct.
you see, and do you even see
Correct.
growth in the first place?
Yes, absolutely. So, I will firstly talk about someone who was facing extreme anxiety.
Mhm.
Um, and during this time, in fact, past 6 months, where the work was not picking up and a lot of things were at standstill for a lot of people. So, one of my clients also faced a similar issue. And the only thing I practiced with him was gratitude. Okay, and make him write gratitude, three things in the night before going to sleep. And when you wake up in the morning, you read that before touching your phone. Don't touch your phone. Pick up that diary and read what you wrote last night and then start your day. And in 15 days, we saw, his anxiety levels were really low. And in fact, he started appreciating his life and started working on things slowly and steadily rather than being stuck on one aspect. And the other part also, as I was talking about, kindness has been very useful. So I'll share another case with you, which a lot of people feel helpless when you're at home, you're working from home. You feel मैं क्या कर रही हूँ या मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ. I'm just stuck at home. There's nothing productive, or I'm not achieving anything out of my life. There's no movement in my life. So at that time, when people do practice kindness, one act of kindness every day, um, it actually helped one of my clients to feel, have the sense of fulfillment, have the sense of, okay, it's worth being even home during this time because at least I'm able to help someone. So these were two major activities which I used with my clients during this time, and it has been very helpful. So there is a technique, as I said, like you very rightly said, people use the term very casually. Gratitude kar lo, what are you grateful for? But as I told you, like you write in the night, read in the morning. This is what a professional can tell you how you actually use it,
Mhm.
how to use that tool properly on your daily basis and see the difference in your life.
Sure, absolutely. And a lot of times one does get into the habit of doing things, and then you just drop off. You just stop doing it. You
Hmm.
get
Hmm.
distracted. You get busy. So how
Hmm.
do you really motivate yourself and convince yourself to keep doing it? Because only then will you
Hmm.
see the results.
Correct. So, as I was saying, one thing is you need to have reminders for yourself because we all are busy people. Okay, we all have 10,000 things to do in life, and maybe this is not a priority because we've never given mental health that much importance in our life. I think up till now, because a lot of people are realizing how it is important for us. So, reminders are the best thing. So, as I said, when you take 2 minute breathing break, put an alarm on your phone which says breathe or break time. So it reminds you that this is your break time and there is no harm in doing that. Okay, putting something on your board if you have a notice board or something where you pin things up for your reminder, pin these things. What activity are you going to do for 2 days? Like even when we talk about gratitude, I very clearly said keep the gratitude journal next to your bed. So when you're going to sleep, you see it. Then you know you have to do it.
Mhm.
So till the time you don't see it, you're not going to do it, right? So if, oh, I'm going to do it on my phone, but there are so many apps open on the phone and I'm not going to open my note and write gratitude. That's why I always say keep the diary next to your bed. So when you're sleeping, you get to see it. So having these arrangements for you, and it is very different for different people. Like pinning on the board can help, putting reminders can help, as I said, but maybe reminders will not help for me because I maybe don't use my phone so much, so different things will work for me. The seeing my diary will help for me. Okay, I need to journal now because I see that on my table, things like that. So figure out what works for you and then make the arrangements in your environment accordingly.
Mhm, absolutely. This sort of reminds me of behavioral economic tactics, where when you see it, you
Mm,
sort of obliged to do it. You're motivated to do it. And then if it's out of sight, it's
mm,
completely out of mind. So this is a great
correct,
point.
correct.
I want to pause here and I want to remind all our participants that you can add your questions in the question answer box. So please
Mm,
do that. We're going to continue talking to Rachna, but please a reminder for you to add your questions.
mm, mm.
Rachna, can we sort of do something with our participants right now? Can we do a little activity that sort of gives them a glimpse into what positive psychology is?
Absolutely, absolutely. So I can see a lot of people with us today. So I will, before I start the activity, let me see how many people are with us. So let's just put in one hi, hello, anything that you want to put in the chat box so I know you are with us.
Yes.
A
If
quick
great.
buzz.
We
Yes,
have
hi.
we have a hi.
Guntas, Sravya, okay. Hey, hello, Nivedita, Veena, you're great. So we seeing couple of hellos, hi's, is coming up. Awesome. So let's do this activity today. I want you to tell me what is the first thing that you can see apart from us on the screen. What is the first thing that you can see in front of you? Is it a wall, a window, a painting? What is it?
Should they type in the
And you
chat
can put
box
it,
or
of course,
yeah?
put it in a
Okay.
chat box so we know. Okay, you can see a wall.
Mhm. Lots of walls, I'm sure.
Yeah, lots of walls. A notebook and pen. Great. One thing. So pick either a notebook or you're looking at a pen. You either look at the notebook or the pen. Don't look at two things.
A bunk bed
Bunk.
ladder. That's very interesting.
Yeah. Window. Wall with family photographs. Chairs. Notebook. Great. So that's the first thing that you can see. I want you to be there with the first thing that you can see. Now look at the second thing that you can see. Okay. And spend like 2 seconds to the second thing. Then look at the third thing that you can see and then come more closer to you, come more closer to yourself. So the first thing, say for example, is a wall. The second thing you see is a notebook. The third thing that you see maybe is your table or your phone. The fourth thing you see maybe your feet or your sofa or the chair that you're sitting this workshop. Okay, and the fifth thing I want you to do is take a deep breath. Okay. So what we did is we just did 5 things to bring you back to the present because most of the time we are in the past or we are in the future. So how to come back to the moment so that I know how I'm feeling, so that I know that I'm in the neutral zone. Okay, otherwise I am either in the past or in the future swing, right? I'm worried, and I am, feeling very sad when I think about the past. Maybe I've not done something good or something bad happened and all of that, or lost in some memories. Whereas I'm in a lot of anxiety and worry and overthinking about my future, but we forget to see what we have with us in the moment. Okay, so just an activity of every time you want to just bring yourself back to here. So I got you all back here to the workshop right now. So just to bring you back in the moment and take maximum from the moment, just look at the first thing, the second thing, the third thing, and every time you come to those things, come more closer to yourself. The fourth thing and the fifth thing, take a deep breath and be there. So this is something you can actually practice n number of times during the day, and there is no side effect.
That's fantastic. So I mean I can't believe we've already been speaking for 30 minutes and it's time to
Yeah.
take questions.
Yes.
We already have one question from an anonymous attendee who
Yes.
is asking that when one vents out their emotions and the other person
Mm-hmm.
who listens to you also takes advantage and judges you on what you said, doesn't it
Mm-hmm.
worsen the situation? How do you feed positivity then?
Okay, so very important to know who you're talking to. Okay, so if you're talking to somebody who is going to feed in negative things to you, then it becomes not, more harmful, as you correctly said. So you need to choose your people. Like you have a friend who understands you. You have, a mentor who understands you and you can talk to and can guide you accordingly. You can speak to your parents, somebody else in the house, or someone, even kids. Sometimes you can just talk to them and they don't judge you. So you need to understand who you talk to. So filter those people before you do that. It's a very important step. That's why we say talk to a professional, because they're trained to not judge you. They're trained to not give you advice. They're trained to help you be emotionally independent. So if all these doubts are in your mind, to vent out to someone you know, then you please speak to somebody who's trained professional.
Absolutely. I wanted to add to this question. I wanted to ask if there are any ground rules that can be established while talking to someone. Say you're talking to a friend, or say you're talking
Hmm.
to a sibling. Can
Hmm.
people establish ground rules even before they sort of get into the
Start talking.
conversation?
Okay, so what happens is talking to a friend and talking to a sibling. In those cases, you can create ground rules based on the rapport you share with the person. Okay, now in certain cases, if you expect them to be a good listener, some people are naturally good listeners and can help you vent out. But say if they're not trained to be non-judgmental, they are eventually maybe judging you, but if they love you, they're support system. See, that's not a part of therapy or treatment. I'm not saying that it will heal you in some way. It will just help you create a support system for you, that someone's there for you.
Mhm.
Someone who you can trust, who's your family or a friend who you know from years, is standing by you in this crisis time. So just talking to someone known is creating a support system. So you can create your own ground rules based on the rapport you have with the person. However, the suggestion will always be that you talk to someone who professionally will be much better. And now you have so many counselors available online. In fact, to have a session with them. Matlab, it's like how you go to a family doctor for your regular checkup. Same thing, go for mental health checkup once in a while, meet a professional and talk about how you're feeling about your emotions.
Sure, absolutely. One more question about
Hmm.
the person wanted to know if you practice other forms of therapy or counseling techniques along with gratitude for anxiety.
Anxiety. Yes, of course. There are a lot of various techniques that are combined with positive psychology toolkits, including cognitive behavior therapy techniques, rational emotive behavior therapy techniques. These are some of them that are used along with positive psychology tool. But today, focus was talking about positive psychology.
Absolutely. We have one more question
Hmm.
about how to practice journaling. You've touched upon this a bit, but if you could
Yes.
elaborate.
Hmm. Okay, so as I said, keep a diary, which you can actually see, which is visible for you. One, because it plays as a reminder कि अब मुझे लिखना है. Okay, so keep a target of 7 days. Don't keep target कि अब मैं हर रोज लिखूंगी. Okay, and someday if you don't do it, then you feel sad. Oh, I didn't do it today. So don't do that. Just say, okay, I'm going to practice journaling for 7 days and see how I feel. Okay. And in journaling, you sit in the evening, or even if you want to do it when you wake up in the morning and you want to start on how my day will be, it's fine. Or you want to do it in the night and say, this is how my day was, or this is how I'm feeling. And in the same journal, you can also write about what were good things, what are you grateful for. Focusing more on your happy emotions in journaling will really help. So either in the morning or in the night, keep it somewhere close to you so that it's visible. It plays as a reminder if you're not using your phone as a reminder. And do it only for 7 days and see. And if you feel it helps, continue for next 7 days. And then after 15 days, change your activity. Put some other tool in your basket.
Mhm. Great. We have one more question that will be very relevant for a lot of people right now.
Hmm.
The
Hmm.
person wants to know what do we do when we constantly are having anxiety regarding our future, especially during the pandemic? It's constant due to uncertainty.
Hmm. Okay. So there are a lot of things which are beyond our control at this moment. Okay. And the under our control things are things that we can actually do in the moment. Maybe, focus on your mental health, focus on your work. So make a list of things which are under your control. Okay. Because what is happening, you're thinking about things which are beyond your control, and that's what is triggering more and more anxiety. So focus on things on what are under your control. And before you start that, do the activity that we did today. Bring yourself to the moment. See those first five things and take a deep breath, and then make a list of things which are under your control and focus only on them.
Sure. May I please request people to enter their questions in the question answer box? We have a few in the chat and we'll take them. There is one
Mm.
question about how to assist someone who tells you that they're going to take their life.
How to assist someone
Mm.
who is feeling suicidal. At this, I think the first thing is that you need to inform somebody in the family. This is something that you need to take it to a psychiatry case, because they need to meet a professional. At that moment, of course, be there for them. So a lot of times, these two, three statements will help you, which you can keep it handy. Someone's talking to you about taking their life. One, you're there for them. So, for example, say you talk to me like that. So I tell you, I'm here for you, and we're going to figure this out together. Let's go and seek help together.
Mhm.
So these are three things that you can use for someone who's suicidal. Okay. So first you tell them, I'm here for you. We're going to figure this out. I understand it's a difficult thing for you. Let's go and seek help.
Sure.
So talk to somebody, and you make sure somebody around knows, and take them for professional help, because it is extremely important that they are talking to a psychiatrist and on therapy.
Right. One very interesting question is about how do we guide someone to promote positive thinking without sounding toxically positive?
Ask them what was good today. What are you grateful for today? What makes you happy? Just talk about these things. Ask questions related to what good happened with you today.
What's interesting about this question is that I sort of relate to what the person is talking about, where if
Mm,
somebody appears upbeat and if
mm,
sort of somebody's exceedingly upbeat, that sort of
mm.
puts a lot of people off, like
Yeah.
why are you so happy? What makes you so happy? So
Mm,
it's
mm.
it's also this tendency that we have. We don't like to associate ourselves with happy people, and also
Correct.
because probably
Correct.
nobody in this world is that happy. So what is your take
Mm.
on this?
Okay. I will not agree to that people in the world are not happy. I'm sure a lot of people are happy. The definition of happiness for different people is very different, I feel. Okay. And it's okay if you're feeling sad or low someday. Allow yourself to feel what you're feeling. Okay. It's very important to define your own happiness and choose it in the moment. You made a choice to be here today evening with us and listen about positive psychology, right? So because you're making choices every moment. So if you don't like to be happy, fine. I don't like to be happy. It's okay. There's no harm in it. But comparing our lives with someone that, so many people are not happy, and, how come this person is happy? Everybody is living their own life in their own journey in their own way. So I think that comparison creates a lot of more issues. Come back to yourself. That person is beyond your control. Come back to what is under your control, and only you are under your control. So work on that and make sure, maybe not happy, maybe look for peace, maybe look for joy, maybe some other emotion that makes you more comfortable. It's fine.
Sure, great. One more question is about how to handle. I think the person means themselves during emotionally charged situations, especially when you lose your job or have a difficult conversation with your boss.
Mhm.
Yeah, what do you do during these times?
Okay, so the first thing I want to say here is that challenging things and challenging times come time and again in our life. Okay, so I know it's pandemic, so we all are going through a similar challenge around the world. Okay, but even though we always had some other challenges happening in our life, it was not our life was without any challenges. It was there. Okay. So how do you cope with those challenges? You do talk. Sometimes you talk about it. Like, for example, losing a job, you're talking about the boss. So what would you do in regular circumstances? You would look for other jobs. You will network for your work. You will make sure you have enough savings. You will speak to your higher authorities to make sure what can be done during these times. So come, I know there can be an emotion. Allow yourself 30 minutes to have those emotions. I am feeling sad. I am feeling angry that these circumstances are beyond my control. Then come back. Come back to what is under your control and start working on those things.
Mhm.
Okay. Rather than focusing on, okay, I lost my job. It's beyond my control. What will you do? You'll feel upset. You'll feel sad. Give a time limit. Giving a time limit for, expressing your emotion helps you to come back to things under your control. Okay, because if I'm going to be angry with my boss, I can be angry with my boss for 6 months and not look for another job, but who's lost? Who's lost at it? It's me, right? I am sitting at home not doing anything, cribbing about it. My boss hired somebody else maybe, or moved on, or maybe even left the job, we don't know. Okay, but the fact is, come back to doing things which you can do.
Sure. Um, what are the easy ways to control impulsive anxieties? Is another question. I am not
Easy
sure what.
ways to
Yeah, to control
uh,
impulsive anxieties.
so I think maybe you're trying to say, if I get an anxiety at that moment, what do I do immediately? So the activity that we did today really helps in that moment, because you're coming back to the moment. Deep breathing at that time really helps. Very quick tip I can give: if you're having, anxiety, leave the room, go out, take a walk, talk to somebody at that time, make a call to someone, do a video call to somebody, and just getting out of that room really helps. So these are two, three things you can do if you feel anxious, and these are just small tips, maybe not help you long run, but at that moment will maybe at least help you calm down.
Mhm. Sure, we probably have time for two more questions.
Sure.
So I'm going to take one from this person who asks, "How do you bring positivity if another person is a constant cribber? No matter how much you try to change their mindset, the conversation goes negative again. How to break this cycle?"
Okay, so I will answer this in two ways. One, the other person has a certain kind of personality, certain kind of consumption of thoughts, and maybe is behaving in that way. Okay. You need to create your own space and saying, this is how it is. So I cannot change the person. When you talk about how do I change the other person, I cannot change the other person. I can only work on myself. If that is impacting me, how should that behavior of the other person should not impact me? I need to focus on that. So again, what is under my control? This is under my control. Okay, the other person's structure is not under my control. So work on how it is impacting me. Why the other person's cribbing behavior impacting me? I think that should be the focus one. Second, if you just want to help someone who's very close to you to start thinking positive, as I said, just ask the person, what are you grateful for in life? Okay, what is it that you like doing? Okay, or what makes you feel happy or peaceful? What gives you joy? Just ask those questions to start the conversation in a different angle as compared to starting with the cribbing conversation.
Sure, absolutely. One final question, and I think it's a great note to end our
Hmm.
conversation on, is
Sure.
how can we motivate ourselves more effectively through reinforcement?
How can we motivate ourselves?
More effectively through reinforcement.
Okay, so through reinforcement, I feel you can, as we were talking about, do 7 days, 15 days, same activity and keep doing, changing the tools. Very importantly, what you can do is be aware of what you are feeding your mind, okay, and reinforce that particular emotion again and again. If you are reinforcing a negative emotion, it will be more. That is what will come out. As I said, what you eat, that is filtered and comes out. Same way brain works. So reinforcing the same emotion, that is why we had toolkits. So you do the same activity again and again every day so that the reinforcement increases. Now, how do you motivate yourself? As I said, do tools where you have the tool around you in the environment. And one last thing I will say, which helps a lot of people, is collaborate. It's an extremely great way to motivate each other because you're answerable to somebody. So join groups or maybe have a buddy who's doing the same activity as you are, and you both are answerable to each other. Okay, today I did journaling, today I did act of kindness, today I meditated, you know. So you have someone to answer.
Super. Thank you so much, Rachna. This has been super enlightening. And I'm sure a lot of participants today will go back and try to incorporate at least a couple of these tools in their everyday lives. So thanks a lot for being with us here today. Thank you to all our participants as well. And we hope to keep hosting you at healthOmind. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me here. And I really enjoyed, and all the participants were great, very interactive, and still commenting on the chat box. So that was really great. And of course, thanks to Health of Mind for doing this initiative and you taking the entire conversation so smoothly and effortlessly. Thank you.
Thank you so much.